you didn't have to do it necessarily, but if you did, you're going to see good results. Now, though, if you're not running PPC, especially at launch, you're really for visibility. If you're not doing PPC at all, you're going to get left behind. The only scenario where I don't see that is if it's a brand new product type, brand new category, brand new niche, right? And you're the only one in Amazon selling that particular
Which
product for that.
I feel is increasingly more difficult now.
More and more rare. Yeah, exactly. But those guys, they might not have to run ads, but everyone else, especially with the competition out there now, it has become a must-have. It's become a marketing line item for your business, right? This is a business. This isn't for the people that are serious about it. There are people that are just doing it as a side hustle. Even that though, it's like, no, this is a business. You need to have a marketing budget for if it was a shop, a physical store on the side of the road, you would still need to do some marketing.
Yeah.
To get people to your store, right?
Welcome to new episode of SellerMate podcast. Today I have with me Vince Montero. Vince has been part of Amazon ecosystem for a very long time. He was an integral part of team that built Atomic at Helium 10. He is also the founder of marketing and consulting agency Events Digital, where he has helped countless sellers navigate Amazon competitive landscape. Very excited to have you here, Vince. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Great. I wanted to start with something that I have been wondering. How did you get started on your Amazon journey?
It's an interesting question. So I've been in the digital marketing space for 20 years, technically. So that included everything just from building websites, which I used to do, still can do, social media marketing, then mobile marketing came out. So basically I worked in lots of different digital marketing agencies, affiliate marketing, digital agencies. And I was hired by this PR firm to kind of do more digital stuff for them as well, right? Because they were doing traditional TV, newspaper, magazine. They were trying to figure out, hey, this digital thing is coming, right? So
Right.
I came to work for them, and that didn't work out because unfortunately they just didn't want to change what they were doing, which was the whole reason I was there. But
Okay.
one of their clients, back in this was probably 2016, in Amazon, selling on Amazon, and he started running ads in 2017, and he didn't know what he was doing, and he knew that I had a digital marketing background, right? Because that's why I was at this PR agency. So he just reached out to me and said, "Hey, Vince, would you take a look at this for me?" And because I had been in ad tech for so long, I basically picked up the Amazon ads console very quickly. At that time, though, it was only sponsored product ads. So it was
So
very
it's very
simple.
early at that point in time.
Very
Yeah.
early, yeah. I think 2018 is when like sponsored brand ads came out. They used to call them, they were headline search ads. They were HSAs. So I was there at the birth of every single campaign type since 2017. So that client became my first Amazon client, and then within a year, he had told another seller who told another seller, and then
Wow.
within 2
Word of
years,
mouth.
yeah, it was literally all word of mouth. Within 2 years, all of my digital marketing clients were just Amazon sellers, and I was just running PPC for them. So, taught myself, did my own spreadsheets and all this kind of stuff. I was a lot of manual work, which is the reason why they hire someone like me. And
Yeah.
Helium 10 reached out to me, like you mentioned,
Right.
in 2019, because I was doing all this work within PPC. And at that
Mhm.
time, they did not have a PPC solution. They had a bunch of
So there
other,
were keyword research was already there. Everything that
yeah,
they were working on.
yeah, a lot of other tools that they're primarily known for: keyword research, Cerebro, Magnet, which are really, and I still use, some of those tools today. But they didn't have a PPC solution. So yeah, I did come on board, and I was there for 3.5 years, iterated. It's interesting. It was called Helium 10 Ads, and then it went to Atomic after we had purchased another smaller software company and integrated that. And now it's Helium 10 Ads again, technically.
Full circle
The
for
Atomic
you.
name has been grandfathered out, I guess, but it's back to the original name that I actually named it back in
Mhm.
2020. And then I kind of went my own way in the past 3 years, 2.5 years, right?
Yeah.
And so, just out here still, back to my agency roots, and helping people. And it's more, of course, PPC is way more complicated now. We'll get into some of those topics. But I also am really good at looking at the listings and doing optimization for that, because that is a part of doing PPC, is the optimization. Because if you don't have an optimized listing, PPC isn't really, it's not going to help you,
Help you.
right?
Yeah, that's right. But see, it's very interesting journey that you have had, like, from that early days to now, where you're
Hmm.
obviously running your own business, helping a lot of
Hmm.
people already. But, did you have the clarity, let's say, when you started? I'm sure a lot of things that people assume are standard SOPs right now
Mm.
might not even be, discussed at that point in time. The ecosystem was small.
Oh
So,
yeah, it was so
how,
small.
how did you see that evolve? How do you manage Amazon ads has become more like a science now? I'm
Yeah.
sure it wasn't as clear back then. How did you
Yeah.
see this?
Again, yeah, it was definitely much easier when I first started. It was just sponsored products, and they added sponsored brands, and they added sponsored display, and they added video, and now creative and things like that. So it got much more convoluted, to the point where, and luckily, I needed a software solution to help me manage everything. So it was good timing that I built that out. And I was, smart enough to build into my contract, even at Helium 10, that I would still maintain some of my clients, right? Because I wanted their working on their accounts to influence what I was building into the software, right? And even while I was there over the 3.5 years, it was constantly evolving, and Amazon's putting out new campaign types, new rules, new levers. So having to integrate that, which is, I'm sure, as a software
Yeah.
solution, it's kind of an ongoing thing. But it's definitely been interesting to see the rise of ads from something, back when I started. The PPC was kind of a nice to have. Like, you didn't have to do it necessarily, but if you did, you were gonna see good results. Now though, if you're not running PPC, um, especially at launch, you're really, for visibility. If you're not doing PPC at all, you're gonna get left behind. The only scenario where I don't see that is less if it's a brand new product type, brand new category, brand new niche, right? And you're the only one in Amazon selling that particular
Which
product for
I
that.
feel is increasingly more difficult now.
More and more rare. Yeah, exactly. But those guys, they maybe might not have to run ads. Um,
Hmm.
but everyone else, especially with the competition out there now, it has become a must-have. It's become a marketing line item for your business, right? This is a business. This isn't a, well, for the people that are serious about it. There are people that are just doing it as a side hustle. Even that, though, it's like, no, this is a business. You need to have a marketing budget for your, even, if it was a shop, a physical store on the side of the road, you would still need to do some marketing
Yeah.
to get people to your store, right? So that's the biggest, evolution that I've seen. And then, of course, with that has been the influx of shoppers, of sellers in the past, God, since I've been at 7 years, 8 years. And that, of course, then makes the PPC even harder, because you're competing against that many more people that are
Right.
potentially trying to target the same
Right.
keywords, same search terms. And yeah, so if you don't have really good controls over your ads, it can get out of control pretty easy and pretty quickly. Yeah.
Right. Um, since you talked about levers, so I had a sort of tangential question. So what we saw in, let's say, Google or Meta is that they they introduced a lot of levers, and then over time they started reducing and saying, run Pmax, or just tell us what type of audience you want, and we'll run the ads for you. We don't still see that yet in Amazon. Do you see that happening in Amazon, or it's a different beast altogether?
I think that they could do it, but I think Amazon is built, and they built Amazon ads a certain way. So I don't know how easy it would be to transition over to like a fully automated service. And to be perfectly honest, I think Amazon makes more money by not doing that, right? Because you got all these people that are brand new, all these sellers are constantly coming in that are inexperienced,
Mhm.
then they're spending money
Yeah.
and they're probably wasting money too, right?
And then I think it also gives you a chance, especially for smaller players, it's a chance to find a niche and then be visible at least. Because not, you can build your strategy and differentiate. If everything is being run by the same platform, then you probably don't have as much opportunity to differentiate yourself as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
So I for that reason, I don't, since the ads is um, Amazon makes the most money on ads, like, so I can't really see them making it so that they make less.
right, which is, yeah, agree with you there. But we do see them introducing audiences. I think it's a good point for us to talk about. AMC, that everybody is now starting to realize that is a useful tool for them, even in SP campaigns. It's not just limited to DSP now.
Yes.
So, what do you think about these audience levers? How
Yeah.
it?
So it's interesting. Yeah, they first launched it with SP, and then one of the things that I wanted to show is where it's available now in SB, so people can actually take some action on some of these topics that we're gonna cover. It's interesting. I'm still testing some of them, but I definitely have seen the SP has different audience types that you can reach versus sponsored brand. Um, I've definitely seen the benefit of at least using the new to brand audience, because that's a pretty easy to understand, audience type, and the ability to um, raise bids specifically for shoppers that haven't purchased from you for the last 12 months.
Mhm.
Like, you'd have to have access to AMC in order to build that out. So they're taking some of these preset audiences and just making them, available to the everyday ordinary seller. And it's kind of a big deal because it shifts the focus from just driving sales to actually growing your customer base, especially if you've got a product that it can be purchased, reoccurring, right? That's very, very important. I've seen, I know people that have used it and who have like kind of doubled their sales in a short order. So it's definitely something that I think it's valuable, and I think it's gonna continue to grow.
Okay.
And there is other audiences that they do have, like you can do, I believe, add to cart. So people that have put your product in your cart, you can target that particular audience as
Do
well.
you want to show if how you have been trying to do it? Like,
Yeah, well, yeah. One thing I like to show whenever I do kind of any of these, webinars or podcasts is at least give people some actions that they can take, right? So people that are actually watching this versus just listening to it, you kind of have to follow along. But let me go ahead and share my screen really quick so you guys can get an idea of what I'm talking about. So here I've got an account open and looking at, the sponsored brands, because again, we're talking about sponsored brands. Um, and so I'm just going to go ahead and click on any of these because these I'll talk about what the migrated status means. 'Cause that's also another important note. So new, basically, if you don't come here and see this, then you don't you don't know. So it's like a couple of clicks deep that I just went from the main screen. So it's under bid adjustments, and then it's under audiences, right? You people are used to their placement bidding, which is top of search, which you can do for sponsored brands. But the audiences is where the AMC layer comes into play. Amazon hasn't really done a good job, in my opinion, of describing what this is. There's literally nothing here. So that's why I think a lot of people haven't really done anything. So you hit change audience instead of add audience because there's no audiences here. Again, UI, UX. And this is where you can actually select the different
right, medium. These are the audiences available for
yeah,
brand.
and then new to brand is what I just talked about. And then of course added to the cart, right? So the third one for sponsored brands audiences is purchase your product. So again, if you've got maybe lots of different products and you want to show your brand again to somebody who's purchased another one of your products, you might want to show them that. But from what I've seen, this one's the most valuable. If you want to test these, though, unfortunately, you can only do one of these audiences at a time. So if I wanted to see what the audience of people who've added to my cart, I'd have to have a separate campaign and then run that. Right. Again, this is something I definitely feel like people should be doing. Audience testing is, and again, it's testing, just like anything PPC. You have to actually note when you launched it. Like you can see here, I like to have dates on some of my things. This is actually outdated because this migration I'll talk about in a second. But really give it time to at least a couple of weeks. What I see is most sellers just give up too soon. With AMC, it actually it's a bigger learning curve. It's a bigger curve for results than like your regular PPC ads, right? So you do need to give it a little bit more time to ramp up, so to speak. Yeah. So I know you wanted to show something, but really quick, since we're looking at one of these accounts, I think it's important to let people know that this version of a sponsor brand campaign is the latest version. I think it's called version 4. So version 3 they're going to archive them. So if you have sponsor brand campaigns that you haven't updated to version 4, which will include audience and placements like we're looking at, your SB campaigns are going to get archived after October 30th.
Right.
If you want to see if you fall under that, Amazon does. There's a lot in here for recommendations. I don't really look at most of these things, but I wanted to show people that you could see optimized. It's under optimized performance. You'll see October 30th that they're going to be upgrading sponsored brand campaigns. So you can actually just click a button and look at the campaigns that are version 3 that are going to be actually archived after October 30th.
I think the date is October 2023 before, and if you had created a campaign before that, then, yeah, it's
Yes,
at risk of discipline.
then you're fine. But for people that have older
Yeah.
campaigns, you should just be aware that you need to upgrade them to the version 3. And you can do that by going in here and just hitting apply. What it
Okay.
does is it archives the current campaigns, and then it creates brand new campaigns for you that include the audience targets that I just mentioned.
I think that's a great tip. See, so we've been working with a lot of sellers, a lot of agencies, and we still see a huge number of campaigns that are running on what you're calling as version 3. We call that as the older version,
Older version.
running before
Yeah.
from 2023.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
The problematic thing though is that some of these campaigns are performing really well.
Yes, and you don't want
Yeah,
to touch.
and so you're forced, and I've had that experience,
Mhm.
and so one of the things that I did after I migrated some campaigns is that's where I decided, I'm going to test out the new to brand, audience target, because it's now available in SB, right? So you can do, in my opinion, you can combine testing out the new to brand experience or audience with these campaigns that you're forced to remake. And,
Yeah.
again, especially if that campaign was doing well, you want to get
Hmm.
it ramped up again as
Yeah.
quickly as possible, even though it's a completely brand new campaign. So I'm actually using the new to brand audiences to try to boost
Right.
those
And
campaigns
you're
that have
seeing
been migrated
results.
over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Actually, on that note, what I also wanted to quickly show, and to be very honest, I also believe, and I think it's a general consensus that audiences can be a big boost to how you're running your PPC, because now it's a lot more about intent and demographics and
Mm-hmm.
type of people you want to target than just a keyword, which is like the general direction in which Amazon is going. It's not just keyword, it's intent that you want to track, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
on that note, what we also did at SellerMate was we created this whole different area for AMC, and we made it just like you showed that you had to do a couple of clicks there to reach to an AMC audience report, and you had to
Mm-hmm.
go campaign by campaign. We created something that tracks your audience report across time in one go across all campaigns so that you can see the report. And then at the same time, what you can also do is uh, go to campaigns. Let's say you are running campaigns that are not really working on those audiences. You can manage those in bulk and say, I want to introduce an AMC audience
Mm-hmm.
right here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can update it, you can change it, you can track it from right here. And then these are default audiences, like you said, available from Amazon. But then if you have your own EMC license, you can create your own audiences and then introduce those to your campaigns as well. From right.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, Amazon is really good at launching new features, but the reporting, the reporting side is always like, do you think about that after the fact? It really should be the other way around. So this is a really much cleaner way of again, monitoring those audiences, which is super important when you're testing, like I was saying.
Right. And you said like you like to test for at least 2 weeks before you make any changes, right?
30 days is mine. 2 weeks is what I said minimum. If you're really tight with your budget, maybe 2 weeks. But in general, most things I like, even brand new well, product launches are different, but yeah, I like
Mhm.
to look at least 30 days with the data,
Right.
before making decisions on what's working, what's not working. So
Right.
with the AMC audiences, it does take a while to ramp up. Um, and so it might even be a little bit longer than that. But basically, you want to make sure whenever you're testing anything new, that you're looking at a sufficient enough data set, right, before you kind of making any decisions on cutting
Right.
it or maybe trying a different audience.
Right.
Um, and honestly, like what you should also be looking at is, was there a lift in overall sales? Like maybe the audience didn't perform that well, but can I look at my total results and say, oh, actually, I'm seeing a lift, and in that way, maybe the new AMC audience is actually doing its job and helping you in that way.
I think it's a great point. Like I like to when I speak to a lot of sellers, I would usually nudge them towards tracking new to brand audiences as well when they start using EMC, because then
Mm.
they get to know, and then obviously they also need to see if they're just supplanting their existing audience with a new audience or they're actually getting a
Hmm.
boost. So it's a
Yeah.
really great point right there.
Hmm.
How do you think about business only campaigns and B2B? Means in my mind they seem like a version of audience, but how do you?
Yeah. I mean, technically, it is. It's an entirely new it's entirely separate category, right? So it's people that have Amazon business accounts. Um, so you can actually build now within the console. You can actually just build business only campaigns, um, and that might be good if your product works for like professionals. If they can buy in bulk, if it's kind of, I don't know, office supplies or things like that. Actually, your product might be really good for that. So um, business buyers, they're repeat purchasers. So if you can get some of them to try your product, you're probably going to get reoccurring purchases as well. So this is, but again, it only targets those people that have Amazon business accounts.
Mhm.
It does exclude your regular consumer shopper. So yeah, it is a different audience. Um, but again, you're reaching purchasing professionals are probably working at a larger company, and really trying to max. But they probably have bigger budgets too, right?
Right.
So if they're from a larger company, but
Mhm.
it really will only work for any kind of product that might be well suited for that, right? If you've got something that isn't bulk order and things like that, then it'd probably be a little bit wasteful. um, but if it does work, then some of those buyers are purchasing large quantities.
Mhm.
I have had, I've heard, some people that have tried business line campaigns that have done really, really well.
Okay.
So yeah, I definitely think it's worth, doing it, building business only campaigns if your product warrants it. Um, but if you don't know if your product might be business oriented, you can also test it out by adding a business audience in your SP campaigns, right? So
Yeah.
it's
B2B.
similar
Right.
to the area that we just went to
Yeah.
for SP. You can do the same thing in SP campaign, and you can click on their audiences, and there is a business one
Yes.
there too. So you can add, and maybe you want to just do your own campaign, a separate campaign just to test it out. Or maybe you've got a campaign that's doing well, and you're like, maybe I'll add this business layer just to test it.
Mm.
So, if you're not 100% sure, you can kind of just test before building a business only campaign. You can just test it out by adding that as an audience layer in an SP campaign, which I'm
Right.
currently doing for one of my clients, and it's actually doing okay.
Mhm.
And, based on the results, then I might want to just launch a business only campaign type.
So we have had some office supply sellers, that they're
Hmm.
already there on the platform. So what we ended up doing was building out a separate section for B2B audience boost itself.
Mm.
And then,
Hmm.
just like it's a little easier to manage things in bulk because they're used to our platform a certain way. But then
Yes.
I think you put it a little differently. I like the thought process of first testing it out with B2B placements and then building business only campaigns. I think that's a
Hmm.
really good way for
Yeah.
somebody
So
to.
if you're on the fence about
Yeah,
is my product going to work in this category, then you can do that pretty simply without having to build out some of these business only campaigns. So yeah, that's kind of a tip just to see if you want to dip your foot in the business. And the category is growing, like from the news that I see, that Amazon business category is
yeah,
continuing to attract new buyers. So
right.
definitely might be worth a test to test that audience.
I think that's a great idea. And
Hmm.
what we have also seen is Amazon has really focused a lot on introducing new types of audiences, attracting new type of sellers as well as buyers onto their platform, and that is also reflected in the type of levers they have started to give. Like if you think about creative tools, as TV ads and all
Mm,
of those things, like
yeah.
eh, we can see that Amazon is trying to evolve and build, be a bigger platform than it is right now. It's already huge.
Yes.
It's massive, but we see that it's trying to become a discovery platform more, more and more. But
Yes.
what do you think about the creative tools on Amazon?
I think they're great, and they're only getting better. When they first for let's talk about video, for example. There's a video builder that you can use within Amazon. You can put images into it, and then you can put like maybe a talk track or some music, and then some captions and things like that. Which if you don't have any videos at all, then this actually might be something good to test. But they've also recently launched, and actually I can show it as well. They've recently launched. Again, it's confusing, so I kind of like showing.
Mhm.
I like showing people where things are because Amazon doesn't really do a good job of showing things. So I'm on the create campaign page. You can see here. I've got, to our previous conversation, Amazon Business is right next to there, so you can actually see where you can build a business only campaign. But in your left-hand menu, when you hit the creative assets, right, you've got a couple different options here. But again, we're talking about video.
Readable.
So this will open up the standard video creator, which is right here. And that's what I said about just adding some images, and it'll build out like not really a movie, but kind of a slideshow movie, right?
Mhm.
But again, better than nothing. But this new run right here is actually, let's just do it. Let's just run an example. So all you got to do is add a product, and it'll automatically start generating uh, videos for you that it's looking at the assets within your listing,
Mhm.
your product description, your A+ content. So it's actually generating these samples from content that is in your creative assets folder as well. But from what I saw is, because I've tested this for another client, is it'll do a kind of movement and motion graphics. So it'll do like 3D kind of renderings that kind of spin around for people. And it'll add music tracks automatically, so you don't need to add those as a separate thing. And if you don't have any like motion type videos in your assets yet, then this
Yeah.
is a really could be a quick and easy way um, of creating some of those assets.
Yeah. Run an SBV ad on top of the funnel ads. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Absolutely.
can see there's create sponsor brand campaign right in the upper right hand corner, so you can actually just select one of the videos and then you click that button and it automatically creates a sponsor brand ad.
But so we have a lot of people doing great work in creative side of Amazon. Where do you see uh, this whole uh, you know direction of tools taking the overall PPC? Like there's obviously people who have made a science out of how to create good videos, good images. They're
Hmm.
obviously SOPs. And now
Yeah.
Amazon is coming in and saying, you don't need anything else. You will create it for you. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
do you see there is still scope of people doing it for themselves, or this is
Yeah.
just for?
I do think that it depends on the product, right? The product I just selected is actually kind of a complicated product, so it probably won't do well for that. But if you've got uh, a simple product, I don't know how to say it. Like if you've got a product that's, pretty easy to understand and use, then you might be able to get away with this AI video generator that we're testing in the background. But for those that have more complicated products, users need to actually understand how it works, or maybe it just has a lot of moving parts, or maybe it maybe has a lot of benefits that you actually want to feature in a
Mhm.
video separately. Like you're still going to need, a quality videographer. But again, that videographer could be using AI
Right.
to do the different parts of your video. But for now, I do think at least that you can't just use Amazon AI only, or even just a video builder, because you still need somebody at the helm of it. And that's the most case with AI in general. You still need somebody that understands how the product works, what the features and benefits are, how to display those in the best way possible, what story to show. Um, you know, is AI going to be able to do all that kind of stuff? Maybe in the future. But right now, I don't think it's just there yet. But I do think a lot of video professionals are and should be using AI to augment what they're doing. Now, could you, as a seller, learn all the skills of a videographer, right, and then build out your own videos using different AI tools out there? Yes, you could. If you've got the time, if you've got the bandwidth, if you've got the energy to do that, go ahead. Um, for me personally, if you're gonna do it though, you want to do it right. So,
Yeah.
reach out to a partner in the space that does really, really good videos. One thing I will say about partners is uh, streaming TV, for example, which is a video ad. I had an experience. I have a really good relationship with one of my Amazon reps,
Oh, okay.
and they mentioned, testing streaming TV ads, and I've never done it before. So I basically said, well, you're Amazon. You know what works best.
Yeah.
What if you build it, and then we'll test it. All right. So I'm not saying this will work for everybody, but if you've got a good relationship with your Amazon rep, you might
Hmm.
want to reach out to them and say, hey, could you build out a custom streaming TV video ad for
Right.
us? Right. Of course, in return, they'll want you to say you'll spend X amount of money on so yeah. So, but we did work something out. Um, on the topic of getting a professional to look at and do your videos for you, Amazon Ads itself might be another resource, again, that you can reach out to your Amazon rep and then make it an agreement with. So I do have a streaming TV ad that was just finished by Amazon. And yeah, I haven't tested it yet because it's still waiting on budget from the client. But, Amazon knows what works best. So if they can do it for you, then
Hmm.
that's hopefully it will actually do quite well. So
Right. And
just
you'll
to,
keep us
just a tip
posted
out
on,
there.
on what you see on the sponsored TV ads, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Once I get it out there and test it, I'll let you know. So going back to so this will be fun. So you can see it pulled out some of these lifestyle images. Let's see, 13 seconds is probably the longest one. So here it's just combining different video assets into one, and it's even doing a Spanish. I saw a Spanish track. So these are videos, again, in the A+ content and other areas, and they're just running it into. I want to see if this one. Oh wow, okay. So it's highlighting things that are specific to the product and automating it. So I'm pretty sure this particular one is just a static image, so it automated it to, and this too. So this is that first image that you see here.
Mm-hmm.
This is a static image.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, yeah, so the AI took the image and it made her do this little dance. That's the AI. That's
Yeah.
not in that's not in the listing or in any
Like,
ads.
like, like you
Neither
said,
is
it's
this.
better than nothing.
Yeah, see this,
Actually, I think it's pretty good, to be very
it's
honest.
trying to do it looks kind of awkward,
Hmm.
but it took one of the images that shows the features and benefits, and it's doing, like I said, this 3D kind of rendering thing.
Mm,
So um let's see what this does. Yeah. Again, see, if you can catch it, you can see
right.
like she's got the hair in her hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, see how the hair kind of disappears?
Yeah. I don't think there's anything in the
Yeah.
mirror.
Yeah.
Mirror.
So again, these are static images, and it's
Exactly.
animating them, right?
Right.
So some of these might actually work. And again, if you've got a simple product, in my opinion, this product you actually need to know how to use.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's taking some of the things from the content, and it's saying, okay, hey, here's the things that you can do. Here's a video showing independence, showing being able to work, showing being mobility free, right? So, and if you don't like these, you can hit generate more. I won't do it now, and it'll keep iterating on it. And so that's all you can really do at the moment. You can like add a logo and things like that, and different assets to it, but you
Yeah.
can't really tell it. You can't give it prompts
But
yet,
I think,
right?
the way it is right now, it also tells what Amazon thinks is more important. Do you think that?
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you kind of want to know, hey, what is Amazon? Yeah, exactly. What does Amazon think is the most important thing about my product? This is another way to do it, and this is
Or like a
free.
real life use case of how you're using the product, and Amazon thinks that this is the right video to generate from a static
Right.
image.
Yeah. And so, yeah, and again, if I wanted to use any of these, I would click, I'd select a video, and then I would create sponsor brand, and it would go ahead and generate that for me. So yeah, again, these are tools, these are free. uh, and all I did was add just one product, and I just let it do its thing. And that will get better. Eventually, that'll probably be, you can prompt it, right? You can say, hey, do this, do that. Um, but if you're a newer seller and your product is pretty simple to understand, again, you have to have good lifestyle image in there, though. You already have to have some video. Well, if you want to see the video ones that doing the split screens, if
Mm-hmm.
you don't have video already, you wouldn't see those. But some of your static images might come to life with
With
what we
that,
just
yeah,
saw, which is
yeah,
again very, very powerful for maybe newer sellers to launch and test.
right. Now, it's very interesting the way Amazon is building these tools on the seller side. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the other side of the spectrum. A lot of chatter around Rufus, which is essentially a tool for buyers. But
Mm.
how do
Mhm.
you see sellers, navigating this new dynamic that's there at Amazon that wasn't there?
Yeah, yeah. Rufus is definitely something that's becoming more and more important because it's making things like keyword stuffing a little bit less relevant. It has to be more, contextually based, conversational based, because that's how it's looking at answering questions that people might be, putting into Rufus, or looking at the preloaded questions that Rufus comes up with for your product, or even on the first initial search that you're doing, Rufus is there as well. So I think it's becoming more and more important. What I think people don't kind of get, because they just understand Rufus is the shopper facing. It's actually using Cosmo, which is the back end AI. Like, so if you think about your listing, there's a front end and there's a back end. Well, there's AI for the back end too, and that's called Cosmo. So you really have to
Our team likes
understand,
to say brain and face, like two different things.
right?
Like,
Brain is feeding face. Like Cosmo is feeding Rufus. So it is important to, have that contextual language, question and answer type of language in your listing, because that is what's then pulled by Rufus to answer questions from potential shoppers. It's not, you can't, well, I have seen some ads in Rufus, so there is that as well. It is going to be more ads focused in the very, very near future. Um, But I think in general, it's important just to understand and optimize for it because it's where everything's moving, right? So, eventually what I see is that the search bar is going to just be replaced with Rufus. Like it's just going to be a chat. Uh, what are you shopping for? It'll probably give you prompts. So it is going to change the way people are looking for your products.
Hmm.
Um, and that is going to get integrated into ads, right? So
Okay.
it will be picked up. Um, but it's what you can do though, which I did want to share, is that like I was talking about the Cosmo and the Rufus, like there are three questions that Rufus actually looks at on your listing to then generate those kind of pre-populated questions that you see on a listing if you click on Rufus. So whenever you click on Rufus, it says, "Do you want to look at this? Do you want to look at that?" And then you can answer yes or no or what have you.
Right.
Well, there are technically three questions that if you know them and you answer those questions, you can kind of guide that conversation. You can kind of guide those questions a little bit. So I'll just list them. Number one, Rufus looks at your listing and it says, what are the main questions or topics customers consider before purchasing X product? Right? So what is it doing? It's looking through all the reviews, all right, and it's looking at your product description, your bullets. It's looking at everything, and it's saying, what are the main questions or things people say about X product?
Okay.
So very important to know that question so that you can answer that question yourself, and again, kind of guide the conversation, guide the questions that Rufus might ask. The number two, what are the main complaints and issues customers have after purchasing X? Again, looking at the reviews, right? So
Right.
if you've got a lot of negative reviews, unfortunately, that's going to play into how the questions that Rufus pre-surfaces for your product. So
Okay.
if you're on your reviews and you're very good about maybe getting rid of the ones that aren't actually true, you're okay. But if you got a lot of negative reviews, that's going to actually get impacted by what Rufus is asking of your listing. And number three, what are the key terms associated with this product, right? So it looks at everything again and it just collates, okay, these are the main terms associated with this product. And
Okay.
based on those three questions, that's how it surfaces those kind of FAQ style questions in the Rufus window.
Yeah.
Um, if you think about it that way, I mean, you can also answer some of those questions in your FAQ, right? So you can think about these three questions and be like, okay, what do I need to add to my FAQ so that Rufus will then pull from? But ultimately, Rufus is going to replace the FAQ, right? So people can either go to your listing and look through their
Right.
FAQ, right?
Which
Which
is increasingly difficult. To be honest,
right,
I find myself asking it specific, specifications or sometimes use cases directly about a product. Like, it's compatible with XYZ adapter. Let's say, I'm looking for a charger or I'm looking for a phone. Then I keep asking these questions. And I think it has become sort of a nature with people that, you're used to hearing a more detailed chat GPT type response than actually reading through everything and then figuring out, okay, if it is it relevant.
exactly. Exactly. So that's why it's important for sellers to understand the questions that Rufus is asking Cosmo, right? And then Cosmo is feeding it to Rufus. And so if you have that content, if you can put that content into your description, your bullets, your FAQs, then you're got a little bit more control over the questions that Rufus is surfacing for the shopper. And yeah, it's super important because people are Rufus, in my opinion, it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. It's going to be taking over more and more parts of the Amazon uh, shopper experience. So, you know, get used to it and figure it out now and figure out the best way to optimize for it. Sooner the
Right.
better.
And you feel that it's coming to advertising as well.
Yeah, it will. I mean, generally speaking, whenever you do best practices for optimizing your listing,
Hmm.
it's also going to be best practices to how to advertise your product, right? So one of the things I was saying was, for PPC, a lot of best practices was keyword stuffing, like making sure you had all these keywords stuffed into your title and your listing, so you can,
Right.
so it's, you can rank for it, and then potentially that'll help your organic ranking for that particular keyword. And also if you're running it on PPC, it'll assist. That still happens, but now you have this other additional layer of Rufus, which is specifically doing that surfacing of questions, right? And so, and for shoppers to actually use that
Right.
as their tool for figuring out if they want to buy your product or not. Shoppers are way, they're not reading your whole listing. Like, we already know that. Like,
Yeah.
they're not reading all the bullets. They're not reading, so they're going to be more and more siloed into just using a Rufus. So you need to know how it works, how it's communicating with your listing in order to, yeah. And additionally, the 3 questions I gave you too, you can also do those 3 questions on the search. So if you want to
Yes.
see, or on your competitors' listings, right? So if you want to see how Rufus is looking at your competitors, you can actually go there as well, and then do the questions and figure out what it surfaces and what it's
Differentiate.
coming up with.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Find out and then different. I think that it's a great advice and something sellers will need to get used to very soon. It's going to get bigger from here. Right. Uh, it was great conversation, Vince. Thank you once again for the great insights. I really had a lot of fun and I got to know a lot of things as a
Good.
part of conversation.
Yeah, this is a
Really,
great conversation.
please don't forget to like and subscribe. Vince, reach out to Vince as well. He's a great guy, and he has been in the ecosystem
Find me
for a
on
long
LinkedIn.
time.
Say hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Vince.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Avinash.